Hey there viewers, welcome back to another episode of VGAPR Garage. Today we're working on this second gen Lexus. Zoom in real close to that. IS250. So today we're going to be replacing the Rotors pads and the parking brake. On this customer's car, it froze up last year and they had to remove all the parking brake components so the wheel would move. This instruction is going to go over if you live in the salt belt, because these they're more of like pins that hold the brake pads in, seize in all the holes. So unfortunately, because I live in New York State, this job is a little bit more extensive. If you live in an area where there isn't salt, these pins would come right out, but unfortunately they don't. So the whole caliper has to come off. We're going to go ahead and take it to the bench. The other thing we're going to do is we're going to bleed the whole brake system on this car. So let's get started. Since we're going to need to bleed the system, we need to make sure that we can get this bleeder, well, the other side was an 8. We need to make sure we can get that bleeder opened. So depending on the car that you're, if it's had the caliper replaced, the OEM is an 8mm, but this one's obviously been replaced and it is a 10mm. So we just want to make sure, and I like to have the socket up enough. Okay, it did come out to where I can actually see the bleeder move, and it did come out. That's good. So we're going to go ahead and tighten it back down now that we know that it does open, and we're going to remove the caliper. Now the caliper, let's grab a paper towel. This is you only have one bolt to remove to undo the caliper, and it's this 19mm guide pin. There we go. Oop, my lighting. Alright, so that's the guide pin. Now, the whole caliper will simply swing out of the way. And then you have your other guide pin down at the bottom. Now this rotor has been off before. When I was looking at the car, there are 2 holes with screws with threads to push the rotor off if it doesn't want to come off. So the other thing we have to do is, if you look, we have this little rubber cap. We need that for the new rotor, so go ahead and take that out, and this rotor is garbage. Alright, so as you can see, this car has no parking brake shoes. This piece right here is a dealer only part. It does not come in a kit when you're going to rebuild your parking brake. The customer brought it back to me, otherwise it had to be ordered from the dealer. This area right here is where your actual parking brake cable sits in, and then it goes inside. And there, it wasn't that hard, and it all closes up around it. I'll get my glove in there, and then there we go, and that's how it sits in there. Now we need to just assemble everything, and it may look, of all the kits that I've ever done for parking brakes or emergency brakes. This Toyota one is actually, or Nissan, this style is actually one of the easiest ones I've done. Now of course obviously if nothing's here, like in this case, you might want to go to the other side and take a look at what's going on that side. Obviously I've done that side so I know what to look for. So, see these two little insert tabs, or right there? Those are what go on this little actuator. But first things first is we're obviously missing the pins. You have a pin hole here that literally passes through the knuckle. It's a little hard to get to. And then you have a pinhole at the bottom that you actually can stick your finger through. Like this has to, like there's a hole at the back of the knuckle that has to go all the way through. I actually used a magnet to help assist in that process. So I've got the pin on the magnet. I'm going to go back through, guide it in, and I can see it. And there's the pin right there. Now I just got to get it off the magnet. Easier said than done. There we go. Alright, now you have to hold that pin in place. So what I have is a punch, but you could use like a flathead or anything to hold it in place. I'm missing. There's that. There are my springs. So the nice thing about this kit, let me see if I've got, so that's there goes my light. Stay up there, light. There we go. So it's a Beck Arley, and there's the part number. I'll have the price down there for you guys too. There we go. Is the little caps actually sit and hold themselves in the spring. That makes it a little bit easier to deal with. Okay, so now with your punch, it's easy but not easy, and you guys are actually in the way. I took the punch and I put it in the hole to hold the pin. Then you take the parking brake shoe and hold it like that, and I'm gonna have to do this off camera, you guys are like legitimately in the way. I use my fingers while holding that punch up against that pin down in there, and you can actually lift this up slightly like that to get the spring over. And then I basically just used my fingers, took a little bit of time, to push the spring in the cap and twist it once the pin was through. But you guys are like right in the way, so it's going to take a little bit. I'll tag another video of how I did on another Lexus in the description below. But let me get through this. God knows how long that took. What I found to make the easiest is cut off the one ear. You want to leave the ear on the back. These brake shoes are set up to be either, top, bottom, left, right. So that's why there's an ear on both sides, but you really don't need an ear on both sides. You only need these little ears on the sides that it touches the back side of the brakes setup. So now it gets a lot easier from here. You've got this big spring right here. Let me go grab my flathead. Alright, so now we've got our adjuster right here. Now is the perfect time to put it on. And it goes right in here. Put that there. Put that one there. There we go. Now we have our black small type spring. I like to go from the bottom. Then I'll take the flathead, put it through the one part of the spring, the hook of the spring, climb up through, and now it's in the hole, and push it through the hole. Now we're actually going to do the exact same thing for the other side. We just need to make sure that all of this is where it needs to be, and it is. It's right where, I know my head's in the way right now, right where it needs to be. So put the spring in the bottom hole. You gotta actually feed it down through here. Then put the spring in the bottom hole. I know there's a hole somewhere. Where'd it go? Ah, there's just a little. Now, I'm going to take, hold that spring up. I'm going to take my flathead, put it inside the hook of the spring, lift it up, hold the pad down. Now it's in the hole. There we go. Take my screwdriver and a hammer and lightly just tap it into place. Come on, a little bit further. There we go. So that is how you set up the parking brake on this car. And I know, and then you can actuate here. So now let's take our new rotor. Make sure it goes over everything. It does. And we've got that little cover. You want to put that cover on. Now what I'm going to go do is pump the brake. The parking brake. We got some drag, but not enough, so we need to adjust. So what we'll do is we'll pull the rotor off. You come to this parking brake shoe, or not the parking brake shoe, to this adjuster, and it got tight for some reason. We will start to open it up. Oh, I was actually tightening it there. Now, that open a little bit, we'll go ahead, take this, put it over, a little bit more movement. Let's go pump that brake again. There we go. Let's see if we can move. We cannot move. we still can a little bit. So we just have a little bit more adjustment of just opening that up a little bit more, and that's how you adjust them. Alright, so since this one is a newer caliper, hopefully we won't have to actually take, yeah, we won't have to. Woo! So the other side, we actually had to take the caliper off because the pins were just so seized. This case, we're kind of lucky. So we need to rotate this so that we can, actually that's not even in there, it doesn't look like. We need to take this little pin out. Looks like it's been twisted. Yeah, it broke right off in there, so I have to clean that out. But where's my this flathead? We want to remove that, and then it should, yep, pop that right out. Come on, it should pop that out. Then in there's the other little brackets for the tabs, so we want to push those out. We want to pop that one out. That frees that one up. And now we actually can pull these out. The other side, they would not come out. So we just want to pull that out. Then we want to go ahead and pull this one out. We are going to clean these pins up and lube them up real good. And then there are the pads. Now, I actually can't get my, I don't think I can get my Lang tool in there, so what we're going to do is we're going to take and just compress that piston. And there we go. The other thing we're going to do is the pin back here we're going to clean up, and we are going to put some silicone paste on that pin and silicone paste in here. Alright, I'm going to go put these in a drill and clean these pins off and drill out those holes. Alright, so now we're going to assemble the caliper. First things first, let's go ahead and put some of my favorite 3M dielectric grease on that guide pin. And now that we have, let's go ahead and take this caliper and we're going to put it inside that boot. Now what we want to do is take the whole thing and put it on there. Make sure that rotor stays. Make sure that that rubber boot goes over the lip of the bracket. Now we want to take this guide pin, tighten that up with our 19mm. We gotta get to find the hole, obviously. Where are you? There it is. Yep. Let's go ahead and put it up in there. Why does it? Yeah, it's acting like it's not going in. Probably because I'm going the wrong way. That would explain a lot of it, Joshua. Jesus. Jesus. Alright. Helps you go the right way. Yeah. Tight. boots on that. Alright, so now we're going to take our new pads and the new pads should simply just drop right. I need the whole thing to, there we go. The new pads should just drop right in. There's one. There's one. And then the other one. Now what we're gonna do is we've got our pins right here. And where is the hardware? Yep, and then we got our hardware right here. So I don't want these pins to get stuck again. So I am lubing the crap out of them with anti-seize so that they won't get stuck. So the top one can just go in to adjust your pads a little bit. There we go. And there it is. Now the bottom one, that's where you've got this clip here, where these go in here, and they attach like so. Get your other pin. Make sure those are lubed up. You don't want them getting stuck. Alright. I mean, you could also order these pins new with your when you buy your pads. That's also an option. Alright, put it through. Now line everything up. There we go. Put that through there. And there we go. Now, excuse me, I burped. Tastes like Pop-Tart. Now, we've got this thing here, which the holes that I drilled out, you guys are in the way. Hold on a second. So the holes that are in these pins, to get everything lined up, you just want to like turn the pins a little bit. That way everything get lined up. Then you want to make sure that that hardware goes down and in that pad, and basically you're all set to go. And that's how you do the parking brake shoe and the pads on a second gen Lexus IS250. Of course, you want to pump your brakes. Pump those brakes before you go anywhere after you start the car. And then you want to bed in the brakes, drive light for a little bit, no hard stopping, to get the pads bedded into the rotors nicely. If you guys like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. Please put questions or comments down in the comment section. If you like this video, I already said that, didn't I? If you want to subscribe, hit that subscribe button. It helps me out. If you want to get notifications on when I'm repairing other types of cars, ring that bell. That way you guys will know. Clean your tools off, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.